All right, welcome to Rust Country Garage. So this is a different video than normal because I am working on not Crust 150. We're going to be working on the daily. So this is my 2013 Subaru Legacy. It is a 6-speed manual with just over 101,000 miles on it. So out of the 3 large vehicles that we have, it's the lowest mileage, but it's also the one with one of the more serious problems right now, and that is it is sweating horsepower. So this thing, the oil pan got grazed or something, started to rust through, and probably a year and a half ago or so, maybe a little bit more, I was going to replace it and ended up just doing a patch because it held and I wasn't driving all that often. So I did that, called it good, and it was perfectly fine. But the other night I parked in the driveway before going to work, and overnight it leaked. So doesn't look like the biggest oil spot there, but that's still fairly substantial for only being there a couple of hours. So what we get to do is we get to go ahead and pull her in, and we're gonna have to drain the oil, try to get the pan off. New pan, gasket, probably gasket seal. The one good thing out of this is the cleanest this side of the garage has looked all summer. Ignore that side, focus on the clean. All right, I'm gonna pull it in, get it jacked up, and then we'll be back. All right, so here we are underneath, and yeah, this is the oil pan. So I don't think it's much in the camera view, but I have a skid plate I'm gonna have to take off, and then I think I'm gonna have to get the exhaust off here so that I can get to all the bolts. So as you can see, or maybe you can't, I don't know how well the camera sees under here right now, we are pretty oily underneath, and it looks like it's just coming around this patch that I put on. So I can see where the patch is starting to crumble, and it's just peeling off. Not exactly surprised. It wasn't really meant to be a permanent solution, but more of a, I'm putting this job off as long as I can. For the most part, car's in pretty good shape. It looks a little bit crusty, just like everything in New York, you know, does. You can see she'll go out one of these days with the subframe rotting out and everything, but for now it's still steady or rock solid. Just a little bit crusty and crunchy, but we'll continue to live with it. So first steps first, we're gonna go ahead and drain the oil. I don't remember what size this is. I want to say it's like a 15 or 16. No, 17. That's why you bring multiple sockets with you. There we go. Alright. We'll see if we can get it off with just the short ratchet first. Luckily, I'm the one who did the work last, so hopefully I didn't screw myself over. Nope. Haha! Don't over tighten oil drain plugs. Alright. Now to make an absolute mess, probably. And I can already hear all the oil tech guys going, "Oh, you got it all over your hands." Yeah, I'm not a professional. Never claimed to be. Never will be. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. Yeah. And there it goes. Luckily, doesn't look like there's any metal or anything. Oil's pretty good. Nothing on the drain plug. It's all nice and clean, no metal shavings, and we're not dealing with a milkshake. So, oil was still good. Alright. Well, there's the easy part. Now we get to let it drain, and then we'll get to working on these skid plates. Alright, welcome back. So for you it's only been like a second, but for me it's been half a day or so since I was last out here. So lucky for me, I got to work from home today, so I'm out here on lunch, and we are going to go ahead and get that skid plate off. So that should be fun. Hopefully nothing snaps or breaks more than what's already broken the last time I took this thing off. So stand by, I'll get stuff in position and we'll get started. Alright, so as you probably have noticed by now, I don't own a lift. It's a tiny garage. So we're going to be a little intimate here. I'm going to go ahead and start and put the oil drain plug back in for now. Not going to snug it up or anything, because this pan, like I say, is what we're here for. We're replacing. So I don't recall if the new pan comes with a new drain plug. I think it might, but just in case, we're not going to snug it up more than finger tight, so that way we can easily get it back off. From there, it is splash shield time. I think I might have said heat shield earlier, but it's just this skid plate down here. So we have a bunch of these fun push pins that are going to crumble away into nothing, probably. And then we have some bolts scattered about, which we are going to hope that they do not snap. The last time I had this off, I already had a couple of them snap on me, so fingers crossed it doesn't happen this time around. Right, so that one's not connected up there. Let's see, that looks like probably a 12 or something like that. Maybe a 10. Let's see. No, must be a 10. Yep. So yeah, not super comfortable working conditions in here. And I'm sure the camera angle probably is going to be a little bit disorienting. I think most channels where you watch this sort of stuff, you're probably watching it at a slightly different angle. Alright, that side doesn't have anything. But unfortunately, this is the reality of DIY or shade tree, as you get to put up with stuff like this. And for any of you that are also at-home mechanics, you know the wonderful joy of laying under your car. But for those who don't get to experience that, Welcome. Okay, then we have another push pin down here. Oh, my neck is gonna kill me by the time we get all this off. Sorry if I block the camera. I've only got a little bit of time here while I'm at lunch. Come on. That kind of flew apart, but we'll find it eventually. If you do not have one of these little like cat claw tools to pry out these guys here, let me actually get it in. These like little push connectors. Get one. They're cheap on Amazon, and I also recommend getting, if you're ever going to work on these things, get replacements. So I actually got this tool. Came with a series of replacements. It's just like a assorted bundle. I highly recommend it if you are working on your own stuff, especially anything modern or more modern. Vehicles anymore are pretty much like held together with these things. I mean, this entire front bumper on my car, pretty much you can take it apart with one of these cat claws. It's honestly kind of sad, but it is what it is. Alright, so avoid the shower of rust and dirt. Alright, and let's see if I can readjust. You can now see the exhaust manifold. So this exhaust manifold pretty much covers the entire oil pan, besides the very back here. Let's see if I can get my camera a little... There we go. Hopefully now. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to get this manifold off, I think. I really don't want to, but there's no real ways around it. So we have 3 fasteners holding this on each side. This is just the 4-cylinder, so we only have 2 exhaust manifold sides here. Shouldn't be too bad, but this is kind of what put me off the last time I started this project, was the manifold bolts did not want to come off, and the connection right here, let's see if I can get you up in there, this guy right here is absolutely rusty crusty as well. So hopefully you can see up in there with the manifold bolts. Hopefully, I don't know how good the lighting is, but that's what we get to deal with. So I'm gonna put the camera down for this part, because this is probably gonna take me a little bit, and if something snaps, I'm probably gonna curse a lot. So and we're back. So I don't remember the last time I was actually out here filming. It might have been a day, might have been a couple. But the reason is I've been just sneaking out here when I get time to poke away at these manifold bolts. I guess technically it's studs with nuts, but whatever. As you can see, they're coming out as a bolt, or at least most of them have. So I did finally get all of them out in one way or another. So you can see, or hopefully you can see, that one I still have. That one actually, the nut was just coming off the stud, which is great. It gives me something to align this back up on when I go to put it back together. I currently have the nut just kind of loosely threaded on there to keep this up. I think you can see that. Might be a little dark. That one, the whole stud came out. This side, we have one stud in, and then the two others, the studs came out. My current predicament is this. So really, what would make this easy is if I could get this flange apart, I could just drop, I call it the manifold, but really it's actually the primary catalytic converter. I could just drop this whole assembly right down and get in to work on the oil pan, because as you can see, oil pan kind of sits up above this entire thing. So two of those nuts have come off. That guy right there, there really isn't enough nut left to come off. So I think this side is actually the good side. If we come around here, you can see the threads poking out. Unfortunately, just because there isn't a whole lot of it left doesn't mean it's not on there super strong. So I'm entertaining the idea of actually just cutting the pipe right here where it's straight, and then just sleeving that when I'm done, because I think that's going to be quicker than trying to get that off. In all honesty, I'm torn on the decision because I kind of want to get that off and just replace it, but on the other hand, it's not leaking, and I can make it a problem for probably not me, because by the time this unit needs to be replaced, I'm either going to have sold this thing or it'll be scrap metal at that point anyways. I mean, I live here in New York. It's going to rust away eventually. You just got to accept that fact here. So I guess I'm going to make a decision, and we'll join back up with what the results are once I get this giant converter off. So we'll be back here in a little bit. So, executive decision made. I just cut that pipe. Fairly straight cut, and it's on a straight section of that, so I should be able to sleeve it with a clamp sleeve like that and be good. But we have the manifold slash primary cat out. The only thing that gave me problems were these connectors, just because they are a pain to get unhooked from underneath. So let's go down, and you can see lots of space for activities now. Oh. So this is the reason why I had to take that out, because you can't get to anything up here without doing that. So, oh, good news is I'm there. Bad news is I see moisture up here, and it's sticky moisture. It's like it's oil. So we're gonna pretend I didn't see that and just continue with only worrying about the lower oil pan here. So, alright, we're gonna see what it takes to get these little bolts out. based on pictures I could see, they're not very long, they're not very robust. So in theory, I should be able to get these out fairly easily. So we'll give it a whirl and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I don't have to order any new ones, because I really don't want to. Alright, see you then. So, as luck would have it, these turn out to be 10mm bolts, and they are torqued down to, well, virtually nothing. So, I brought a breaker bar in here thinking that, oh gosh, these are going to be torqued down pretty good, oil pan. No, there's really not a whole lot of torque. So, cheapo electric impact should do the work. And just as I was seeing when I looked at them online, there's they're tiny little things. So now to just do 10 more. I think there's 11 of them on here. So stand by here. I was kind of worried these ones back up in here would be a little worse to get out, but they're not. Everything's coming loose nice and easy. Look at that. Oh, we might have to go get a screwdriver. Stand by. Yeah. All right. As I kind of thought. We're really gonna have to go at this thing. Because I think that they use some gasket sealer. Maybe this isn't the original, maybe this is already a replacement. Not sure on that, but it's really stuck, so I'm gonna pause the video and alright, so up close and personal look. Oil pan is off. I can see why it wasn't torqued on there all that much. It took a lot of prying and a good measure of I'm lucky I'm replacing the darn thing, because it's a bit bent. If I was just replacing the gasket, let's say that was leaking, I'd be doing a lot of work to that oil pan to get it back into shape. But luckily, whole oil pan's getting replaced. So next up, I got to clean up the gasket surface here, get that all nice and shiny. You can see where I kind of chowdered it up a little bit here. So we're gonna have to try to clean that up a bit and make it nice and smooth so I don't have any leaks afterwards. So we'll check back in here. At this point, I'm working in such close quarters. I mean, you can see the camera angle kind of sucks. I don't know how much of this cleanup and such I'll get filmed, but we'll see, and depending on what I get, I guess we'll catch back up in a little bit with another update. And just like that, new oil pan on. So I did not end up filming any of that because I was using gasket maker and wanted to make sure that I did everything in a timely fashion. So but really pretty simple. I did have a gasket for it as well. Confirmed that it is fine with gasket and gasket maker. So if anyone sees this and says, it's gonna leak, well, if you're right, you're right, but it shouldn't. Got everything tightened down. I see a little squish on all of the sides from the gasket maker, so we should be good. At this point, I think I just need to take the drain plug out, make sure that's torqued down properly, and then it's just reassembling the primary catalytic converter. So not terrible. It has taken me a few days just because I've only been able to poke at stuff here and there, but yeah, I'm gonna get stuff put back together and we will see you once we are in a better spot. Alright, thanks. Alright, so it's been about 24 hours since we got the new oil pan on there. So the gasket maker says let it sit for 24 hours before we, try to put oil in it. So, we got our oil and we're ready to go. So, let's get this thing filled up. These take 5W30 and I think it's 4.5 quarts normally, but with it fully drained it's probably going to be closer to the 5. Normally with an oil change, there's still oil left in the engine, but this thing got to sit for so long that we might have to put a little bit more in it in order to get it to actually read full. So down the hatch we go. I wish I had a better way to test this to see if it would leak without putting, a full 4.5, 5 quarts of oil in it, but there really isn't. Alright, where are we at? Sunlight's messing with me a little bit. Okay, so we've done about 3 quarts so far. Almost there. Alright, give that a moment to run down, then we'll check our dipstick. Oh, come over to my absolutely mess of a table after this project. Every time I clean, I swear, just everything gets dirty again. So grab us a shop towel, and we'll see if I can do this one-handed. Alright, no oil on the dipstick yet. So we'll give it a moment here, like I say, to run down into the engine. It's a fairly long oil tube. I'll get down here and just make sure that we don't see any obvious leaks happening. Don't see anything yet. And I did torque down that drain plug properly. New drain plug, new crush washer. Still no oil on this dipstick. That's interesting. I don't think that anything got damaged. I don't know. Definitely feels like there's oil in there. Oh, well, we'll have to see. I'll probably have to run the engine a little bit. Alright, next we'll change out the oil filter at least. Okay, so I ordered a different filter. As you can see, I've got the orange Fram on there. This is a daily, it's not a performance car, so I've always just gone with that. I decided to order a different one, and I've heard, you know, different things, and I've heard these Wix filters are supposedly, you know, decent, pretty good. And so I ordered one. My only concern is the size. Normally, those Frams I get are a lot bigger, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to see if I get any issues. Maybe I'll have better oil pressure. I don't know. But let's see if we can get this old one off. It's crazy. I don't even tighten these things down, except by hand. And it's nuts how tight they actually get over time. Now this thing's going to be completely dry. And just making sure they look pretty similar. Give it a test fit, just to make sure it spins on right. Alright, it does. So let's drop this old one off. Get a little bit of oil left over here just to get the new rubber O-ring wet here. And you can see leaves a little bit of oil in the bottom too, so I'm gonna see if I can clean that up a little bit real quick without getting anything down in there. Alright, that should be good. Alright, hand tight, just right. Okay, so grab my rag. I don't know, it still feels like I'm not registering. On the dipstick. Alright, we're gonna have to add more oil here. Hello? Yeah, so I had my visitors out here. I went ahead and put the rest of that 5 quarts in, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but it's definitely on the dipstick now, and it's actually showing good level. So I think we're good to do a start after I clean stuff up a little bit here. So first steps first, let's pick you guys up. Get this over. We'll just set it on there for now. Get our oil cap back on there. Get our air cleaner. And that actually reminds me of why I had the air cleaner off. That guy right there. So that's one of the O2 sensor plugs. And before I can start this thing, I've got to figure out how to get that in. First one went in, not too terribly. That second one is jammed up in there. So I'm actually going to put the camera down again and try to get that plugged in. So okay, moment of truth. We get to see if I have the O2 sensors plugged into the right spots, because the connectors are right next to each other, and well, I was bench pressing the converter, so I didn't really pay attention to which one was where. I think I have it right, but I suppose we'll see. So just to get down underneath, new oil pan, everything's all bolted up. I have a temporary sleeve on there. The spring clamp that I was going to use is actually too big, so I've got to find a couple of C-clamps to clamp that down. These ones are just a little bit too small. They're like a 1/4 inch too small. Probably not even. I might force them on. We'll see. But that'll do just for you know, keeping it quiet-ish so that I can hear everything run. So let's do this. Ugh. All right. It is stick shift, so make sure I put it in neutral. Parking brake's on, which the parking brake is on the rear. A little bit smoky. That's probably that clamp not holding up. I probably just got oil places it didn't want to be, so that should burn off. We'll see, but I think that this is a job done. Really, the only thing left is get that clamp going. Or get the clamps on that spot on the exhaust, and then I think we're done. So I think oil might still be just a little bit low, but we'll let it run here for a minute, see if this smoke burns off, and then probably be good. So if you don't see anything more, then that means that truly that's the end of it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Otherwise, we'll see you again here in a couple minutes, but hopefully not. Alright, so I just wanted to film a quick follow-up for this, or an outro maybe. So all that smoke that we saw was just leftover residue and gunk on the engine from cleaning it, some oil that got splattered. So luckily nothing bad going on there. I went out to make another video on the smoke, and it was gone. So we're all good there. The exhaust manifold gaskets are spanked, so I am going to have to replace those. That's going to be its own separate video rather than trying to tack it onto this one. This one's already probably going to be pretty darn long, much longer than what I've been putting out. I don't think every video is going to be this long, but I figured with something this length I'd give a quick update that everything did clear up, and the car is good to drive as is. So I am still gonna, like I say, replace those gaskets as well as the studs and nuts for the manifold itself, so that way I won't ever have to touch that stuff again. So that will be in its own video coming up here once the parts get in. I got a lot of work to do still on, you know, multiple vehicles, so should still keep putting out content for everyone, and hopefully you enjoy what you see here. And you know, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, because I want to improve. So definitely appreciate it, and if you've stuck around this far, hope you have a great day, and hope you tune in to the next one.